Welcome to Haunted Horizons, where we hunt the shadows that cling to the soul. New here, hit subscribe and ring the bell to join our dive into the unknown. Tonight, we face La Moira House, Mexico's most haunted, steeped in legends of a boy who saw death and a darkness that traps all who enter. Feel that shiver? Smash the like button if you're brave enough for the truth, and comment below ever felt a ghost's grip. La Moira doesn't just haunt, it owns. Step inside with us. The air in Mexico City hung heavy with dust and secrets as I stepped off the bus, my boots crunching on the cracked pavement of Colonia Roma. La Moira House loomed ahead, its black-painted facade swallowing the sunlight like a void. The locals called it Casa Negra, the Black House, and whispered stories of a boy who'd found a body swinging from a chandelier decades ago. A suicide, they said, though no one knew for sure. The house had been empty ever since, but the sightings never stopped. Shadows in windows, footsteps in empty halls, and a child's voice crying in the night. I'd come to Mexico for a cheap vacation, but my obsession with the paranormal had led me here, to the country's most haunted house. The iron gate creaked as I pushed it open, the sound echoing in the overgrown courtyard. The realtor had warned me not to come alone. Nobody rented La Moira, not anymore, but I'd brushed him off. I was a skeptic at heart, chasing ghost stories to prove they were just that, stories. My flashlight beam danced across the peeling black paint as I stepped inside, the door groaning shut behind me. The air was thick, stale, like the house hadn't exhaled in years. My sneakers squeaked on the warped wooden floor and I froze, heart thudding. Just the echo, I told myself. The foyer opened into a grand parlor, its chandelier dangling like a skeleton of crystal and rust. I pictured the boy from the legend, his small face pale as he looked up at the swaying body. I shook the image off and moved deeper, my flashlight catching faded portraits on the walls, stern faces with eyes that seemed to follow me. A cold draft brushed my neck, though every window was boarded shut. I checked my phone. No signal, of course. Upstairs, the floorboards groaned under my weight. The hallway stretched into darkness, doors lining either side like silent sentinels. I picked one at random, easing it open to reveal a child's bedroom, dusty toys scattered on the floor, a small bed with a tattered blanket. The air felt heavier here, like I was wading through water. Then I heard it, a faint sob, soft and high-pitched, coming from the closet. My mouth went dry. "Hello?" I called, my voice barely a whisper. The sobbing stopped. Silence pressed in, thick and suffocating. I gripped my flashlight tighter, inching toward the closet. The door was ajar, revealing nothing but shadows. I reached for the handle, my hand trembling, when something cold grazed my ankle. A fleeting touch, like tiny fingers. I stumbled back, heart hammering, and swung the flashlight around. Nothing, just the empty room, the toys unmoved. But the air had changed, charged with something I couldn't name. I should have left then, I know that now, but I pressed on, driven by some stupid need to prove I wasn't scared. The next room was larger, a master bedroom with a cracked mirror reflecting my pale face. The sob came again, louder, from behind the mirror. I froze, staring at my reflection, half expecting it to move on its own. It didn't, but the sobbing grew into a wail, a child's voice, desperate and raw. "Help me," it whispered, so close I felt the words on my skin. I bolted, my flashlight beam bouncing wildly as I ran down the hall. The stairs seemed to stretch, each step slower than the last, like the house was pulling me back. Footsteps echoed behind me, small and quick, matching my pace. I didn't look back. I couldn't. The foyer was in sight when the chandelier above me rattled, its crystals clinking like a warning. I threw open the front door and stumbled into the courtyard, gasping for air. The gate was locked. I hadn't locked it. I yanked at the iron bars, panic clawing at my chest, when I heard it again. The sob, right behind me. I spun around, flashlight raised like a weapon. The courtyard was empty, but the house's windows stared down, black and unyielding. Then, in one of them, I saw it. A small figure, pale and indistinct, watching me. I don't remember climbing the gate. I don't remember the cuts on my hands or the bus ride back to my hotel, but I remember the cold cold, the sobs, and the feeling that La Moira house wasn't done with me. I left Mexico the next day, but sometimes, late at night, I still hear that child's voice whispering from the dark. Back in Chicago, the hum of city life should have drowned out the memory of La Moira house. My apartment, with its creaky radiator and neon glow from the street, felt like a fortress of normalcy. But normal didn't stick. At night, when the city quieted, I'd wake to the sound of that child's sob, faint, like it was carried on the wind from 1,000 miles away. I'd lie there, heart pounding, telling myself it was just a dream, just my mind unraveling the trauma of that night in Mexico City. But the air would grow heavy, the same suffocating weight I'd felt in Casa Negra, and I'd know it wasn't over. It started small. My keys would vanish, only to reappear under the couch, caked in dust as if they'd been there for years. The mirror in my bathroom fogged up without a shower running, and once, I swear, I saw a small handprint pressed into the steam. I stopped sleeping with the lights off. I stopped sleeping much at all. My friends noticed the bags under my eyes, the way I'd flinch at sudden noises. "You need a break," they'd say, but I couldn't tell them the truth. Who'd believe me? I barely believed it myself. A month after I got back, I found an old Polaroid tucked into my jacket pocket, one I didn't remember taking. It showed the parlor of La Moira house, the chandelier glinting faintly in the flash. In the corner, barely visible, was a smudge that looked like a child's face, eyes wide and hollow. I burned the photo in my sink, the flames licking up the edges as that familiar sob echoed in my head. The smoke alarm didn't go off, but my neighbor pounded on the wall, yelling about a kid crying in my apartment. I lived alone. Desperate, I started digging online, scouring forums for anything about La Moira. Most posts were in Spanish, but I pieced together what I could. The boy from the legend wasn't just a witness. He'd lived there decades ago with a family that vanished after the suicide. Some said the boy never left, that his spirit was trapped in the house, tied to whatever darkness had claimed it. Others mentioned a woman, the one who'd supposedly hung herself, though her name changed in every telling. One post, buried in a defunct blog, claimed the house didn't just hold ghosts. It fed on them, luring in the curious to keep its walls alive. I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd brought something back with me. My apartment grew colder, the air thicker, like La Moira's shadow had followed me across the border. One night, I woke to find my bedroom door open, though I'd locked it. Footsteps pattered down the hall, small and deliberate, stopping just outside my room. I clutched my phone, ready to call 911, but what would I say? "There's a ghost kid in my apartment?" Instead, I whispered, "What do you want?" The words hung in the air, unanswered, until a soft voice replied, "Stay." I moved out the next week, threw my stuff in a duffel and crashed on a friend's couch, ignoring their questions. But distance didn't help. The sobs followed me to bars, to work, even to the grocery store, always just out of sight. I started seeing him in reflections, not clearly, but enough to know it was him, a small figure, pale and blurry, always watching. I bought a plane ticket back to Mexico City. If La Moira house had started this, maybe it could end it. The house looked the same when I returned, its black walls drinking in the dusk. The gate was unlocked this time, almost inviting. Inside, the air was heavier than before, like stepping into a tomb. The sobs were louder now, guiding me upstairs to the child's bedroom. The closet door stood open, revealing a faint glow within. Impossible, since the house had no power. I stepped closer, my breath catching as the glow resolved into a figure, a boy no older than 10, his eyes dark and endless. He didn't speak, but I felt his plea flee, a pull deep in my chest. Behind him the air shimmered, and I saw her, a woman, her neck bruised, her feet dangling above the floor. She wasn't hanging from anything, just floating, her eyes locked on mine. The boy reached out, his cold fingers brushing my hand, and I felt the house's hunger, its need to keep us both. I stumbled back, breaking the connection, and ran, the sobs chasing me until I hit the street. I don't know if they're still there, trapped in La Moira's walls, or if they're following me now. But I hear the boy every night, his voice clearer, closer. And sometimes, when I pass a mirror, I see the woman's shadow behind me, waiting. I don't think I'll ever go back to Mexico City, but I'm not sure it matters. La Moira house doesn't let go. Back in Chicago, I thought moving again would break the grip of La Moira house. I ditched my friend's couch for a cheap studio on the edge of the city, a place with bare walls and no history. I avoided mirrors, kept every light on, and blasted music to drown out the silence. But the boy's sobs followed, seeping through the walls at night, sharper now, like he was right beside me. The woman's shadow lingered too, flickering in my peripheral vision, never fully there, but never gone. I stopped going out. The world felt too exposed, like La Moira's reach stretched beyond its black walls. Work became impossible. I'd be typing and my computer screen would flicker, showing glimpses of that child's bedroom. Dusty toys, tattered blanket, the closet door cracked open. Once my boss caught me staring at the screen, muttering, "Leave me alone," to no one. She sent me home with a worried look and a pamphlet for a therapist. I didn't call a number. How do you explain a haunting to someone who's never felt a house breathe? I started researching again, obsessively, chasing any scrap about La Moira. Deep in a Reddit thread, I found a user claiming they'd stayed a night in the house in the 90s. Their story mirrored mine. The sobs, the cold, the boy. They'd left Mexico and thought they'd escaped. But years later, they swore the boy was still with them, whispering in their dreams. The post ended abruptly. No follow-up, no replies. Their account was deleted. I messaged anyway, desperate, but the words bounced back. User not found. One night I woke to the sound of scratching like fingernails on wood, coming from inside my closet. My heart jackhammered as I grabbed the baseball bat I kept by the bed. The scratching stopped, replaced by that familiar sob, soft and pleading. I didn't open the closet. I couldn't. Instead, I sat against the wall, bat across my knees until dawn. When I finally checked, the closet was empty, but the back wall was etched with tiny, frantic scratches, forming words I couldn't read. Spanish maybe, or something older. I knew I couldn't keep running. La Moira wasn't just a place. It was a force, a hunger that had latched onto me. I booked another flight to Mexico City. If the house wouldn't let me go, I'd face it, end it, or die trying. The thought didn't scare me as much as it should have. Maybe I was already half gone. This time the house felt different, alive, almost expectant. The gate swung open before I touched it, and the front door was already ajar. The air inside was colder, thicker, like stepping into a freezer. The sobs were everywhere, woven into the creak of the floorboards, the drip of a faucet that shouldn't work. I climbed the stairs, drawn to the child's bedroom, my flashlight shaking in my hand. The closet door was wide open, the glow inside brighter, pulsing like a heartbeat. The boy stood there, clearer now, his face gaunt, his eyes like black wells. Behind him, the woman hovered, her bruised neck glistening as if fresh. "You came back," the boy whispered, his voice echoing in my skull. I wanted to ask why, what they wanted, but my voice caught. The woman's lips parted, and a sound came out, not words, but a low, guttural moan that vibrated through the floor. The house shuddered, dust raining from the ceiling. I stepped toward the closet, drawn by something I couldn't name. The The boy reached for me, his fingers grazing my wrist, colder than ice. Images flooded my mind. A family laughing in the parlor, a woman's screams, a rope tightening, a boy hiding in the closet, watching. Then darkness, endless and hungry, pulling at them, at me. I yanked my hand back, gasping, and the boy's face twisted with something like betrayal. "You belong here," he said, and the woman's moan grew louder, shaking the walls. The closet glow flared, and I saw it, a void, not just darkness, but an absence, hungry and endless, reaching for me. I ran, tripping down the stairs, the house groaning like it was collapsing. The chandelier swung wildly, crystals shattering on the floor. I didn't look back, not even when the boy's voice screamed my name, my actual name, though I'd never told it. I made it to the street, collapsing in the dirt as the gate slammed shut behind me. The house stood silent, its windows black and blank, but I felt its pull, a tug in my chest like a hook. I flew home that night, but I know now there's no escaping La Moira. The sobs are louder, the woman's shadow closer, her bruised neck reflected in every window I pass. The boy's voice follows me everywhere, whispering, "Stay." And the worst part, I'm starting to wonder if he's right. If I belong to the house now just like